Well, my mother and my grandmother had done quite a bit of genealogy work starting back in the 1960s with my grandmother's efforts, and then my mom took over. I can recall as a young boy taking a cross-country trip around 1967, and we were looking for graveyards with relatives, and in Missouri especially, and then down through some of the South. My mother and father took a cross-country trip in 1991 and came here and had heard about a town historian who might be able to shed some light on Armistead, and that would be, of course, Emily Hinote. Now, we followed, my mom passed away in 1999, about 8 years after she had been here, and we followed her diary, her little travel diary, that mentioned that they had come into town, had found the historian, and had a nice conversation with her. And so when my fiance and I were here 2 years ago, we stopped and managed to find Emily. And she gave us quite a bit of time, and she's a very interesting person. And our relationship has come from that, really. Really what we've been doing is doing just some basic background research on family members, trying to locate other people here in the South who might have known about Armistead and his children, particularly. And I'm going to speak about one of his children a little bit tonight, with some connections we made to another family here in Texas, down in the southeastern portion of Texas, who are related to Armistead also. We've just discovered them in the last week. There's really more not known about Armistead than there is known. We have some interesting information about him, but there are big gaps. He was the second person here in the U.S. on that side of the family. His father was Daniel Richardson, who was in Culpeper County, Virginia, and was given a land grant after having served in the American Revolution. And so Armistead was born in Virginia and came here into Georgia in the early 1800s. And ended up here in Cave Spring in the 1830s. He was a banker at one time in Augusta. He had property in Eatonton. He had a few farms. He was considered a very wealthy man and had slaves at different locations, but ended up here, and there's some information that says he wanted to retire here. Interestingly enough, he had a long and storied career, you might say, with the military. He actually served the governor of Georgia during the Civil War, and he was born in 1788. So he was quite an old man by the time he was active in the Civil War. You know, bits and pieces. I've heard he was a very stern and imperious man. He came here to Cave Spring after, you might say, tangling with some of the Baptists in Eatonton, and actually they kicked him out. And it was sort of a mutual thing. I think he got upset with him. They got upset with he got upset with him, and they got upset with him. And so they just decided, okay, this is it. We're going to part company. He came here, eventually was readmitted, and was authorized to build the Baptist church here. His slaves built the church here on the other side of this building, or at least they contributed the bricks to help build that building. Little bits and pieces that we have filled in about the substance there, what transpired here. With his coming from those other locations. There is the story of his losing his entire fortune here by standing up for a debt for a friend. He agreed to back a friend who made some very poor investments, lost about $60,000, which is probably in today's money worth many millions of dollars, and it eventually bankrupted Armistead, and he lost his place here to bankruptcy. But filling in those bits and pieces is really what gives real meaning, I think, to the stories.